I reckon that today I'm going to have a little bit of captive audience because I'm recording this on Christmas with the intention of releasing it in the same day, and I'm kind of assuming that most of you are zombieing it up before the screen and watching YouTube without actually noticing what's moving on the screen, because you are gracefully suffering the results of your own gluttony. And if you don't know, for whatever reason, what I'm talking about, currently in this geographical location what we're having is our midwinter celebration that was brought on totally not because the peasants had to do something instead of plotting a revolution. The occasion for this particular celebration is the birth of a religious figure, and how we're celebrating? Well, we are stuffing our faces with food with significant caloric content and giving ourselves trinkets of no value which we bought hastily over the last few weeks. And in the year of our Lord 2020, this celebration has turned into a total festival of overconsumption. Hello there. So what we're going to be doing today is stemming the tide of overconsumption by practicing asceticism. We are going to underconsume, and the occasion for this particular thing is that the Grim Reaper has taken the chain from my road bike, and as it usually goes, the cassette, this one, is really missing its companion and doesn't want to cooperate with the replacement. So what I'm going to do today is discuss the matter with the cassette so it starts cooperating with the replacement, as I would like to, and I'm going to regenerate this. However, before we start, I would like to say that I am perfectly aware that spending 20 bucks on a new cassette and replacing the cassette as well with the chain is a reasonable thing to do. However, in this particular part of the universe, we are not doing reasonable things, we are doing scare quotes, we are doing the cool things. What you see on the screen right now is a perfectly designed interface between the cog and the chain. In essence, the roller of the chain is rolling on the slope of the tooth on the cog. That, however, only works in principle because real paths wear down while hypotheticals don't. If the cog was made of impossible material that never wears out, then as long as you can put a chain between the teeth, it would work perfectly. On the flip side, what you see on the screen right now is what would happen if the chain was made of material that never wears out. Essentially, the cog would be taken out layer by layer, but still would be shaped like a perfect tooth. In reality, none of those two things are made of materials that never wear out. And, in the same reality, two wear patterns usually emerge depending on the use case of the chain and the cog. The wear pattern you can see on the screen right now is something that emerges usually on bicycles without external derailleur gears. In this wear pattern, the chain is slowly taking out the material at the base of the tooth, and if you were to put a new chain on this particular drivetrain, it would simply hook onto those valleys and would not release the cog. It would be impossible to pedal. The second wear pattern is known as the shark fin pattern because it happens on derailleur gears, because they use much shallower teeth in order to facilitate shifting. It happens because as the chain is being stretched by wear, the roller is traveling upwards on the slope of the tooth of the cog and takes out more and more material from always the higher part of that particular slope. And this obviously leads to the emergence of the shape of a shark fin, hence the name. If you were to use a new chain on a cog that has been worn in this particular way, then the new chain wouldn't be able to rest against the teeth of that particular cog, and you would be, well, experiencing the chain skipping, being unable to transfer power. The idea behind regenerating cogs, cassettes and chainrings can be seen on the screen right now. In essence, take a file or any other tool of your desire, power tools are strongly recommended, and undo all the damage that was done by the stretched chain. In the end, the regenerated parts should perform just like a new one, just with a slightly narrower or slightly thinner teeth. Alright, so practice makes perfect. This is a mini drill, this is the method I'm going to be using. This is a very worn out stone, and, well, I probably should have been this. However, this is not the only way to approach this problem. For example, years ago I would be using a thick metal cutting disc like this one. However, the one I was using was so worn out that there was a curve to it, and this curve was simply fitting perfectly into a cog. So I would be doing the entire cassette in a matter of minutes because, you know, angle grinders, grinding metal, kinda what they were made for. Anyhow, safety goggles because there are going to be sparks flying, and A few caveats before we start. First of all, you don't need to do the entire cassette. Usually most worn out cogs are the ones you need to take your attention to. 2, obviously not everything can be regenerated. Some cogs are simply so gone that they can't be repaired. And 3, I'm just going to show you one cog, not the entire thing, because that would be, well, taking quite a bit of time and you're going to get the idea. And 4 or 5, I am lost. Anyhow, you don't need to be thorough, you just need to bring the cog into spec of the new chain. Once it can mesh properly and not slip, then the natural wear of the drivetrain is going to, well, at certain point simply make it fit perfectly with the entire cassette and with the new chain. So, how I'm going to do it? Well, quite easily. So as you can see, I have mounted everything to the bike. You can see that I have ground 5 of the 10 cogs because they are the shiniest ones, and you can also see how weak I am because I'm using the big ones. Anyhow, let's run it through the gears and see whether my operations of a rather intrusive nature caused some damage to the at least shifting quality. I say that's passable. However, you should also note that we would expect nothing to be, well, damaged here because I have just removed just a little bit of material from each cog. So the test for the entire thing would be whether the chain actually stays on the cogs or not. But I can't show it to you because 1, it's after dark, and 2, I don't really have a setup for a camera, so I can just assure you that it's not going to work perfectly fine, but I don't know really. Well, I'm going to report it somehow, I don't know. Anyhow, let's go to the outro. And this is the moment when you might want to ask a question: should you do any of it? And the answer is obviously, how much money are you going to save by doing any of it, and is it worth the labor you're going to put in? Because, well, let's gloss over that you need some sort of tools, some sort of workshop, some sort of place to do any of it. Obviously, if you're doing this for a $5 chainring from China or a $5 cassette or $10 cassette, it's probably not worth your effort. However, if you're rescuing an expensive part like $200 chainring or $400 cassette, then extending the life of that particular part by 100-200% might be worth that 15 or 20 minutes of work. I don't know, I'm not you. Obviously, if you're in an emergency because you have forgotten to replace the chain on time and now it's skipping on just one cog, the one you're using the most, well, get a file and get in there because, well, it's going to save you some time and it's going to save you some money, so why wouldn't you? Obviously. Now, if you're tight on cash, no discussion there. And there's always that one niche situation. If you're rescuing a vintage part, you can't reliably get a replacement that's going to fit the theme of the bike or is going to fit for whatever reason, then obviously this is a avenue you might want to explore. The answer is, if you're willing to go through the process, if you're willing to overlook the junkiness of the process because it's kinda iffy, then there are cases when this is really worth the effort. Well, I think I used to do it really regularly when I was younger, and I would be able to extend the life of a chainring by 100-200% because poor. Anyhow, I hope you like this video. It's a bit different, or maybe it's actually kind of thematically fitting the entire channel. Anyhow, I hope you like the content, I hope you're going to share it around, I hope you're going to subscribe to the channel, I hope I'm going to learn the shelf once and for all, and I hope to see you in the next one.